Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a video on the rookie tier listing of none other than Diego Armando Maradona. We'll do the other Argentinian today. I've already done Messi. I plan on doing Pele, Ronaldo, Cruyff, and then anything after that. Please let me know what you would like to see, as this is a community-driven channel to some degree. But with that said, it's pretty self-explanatory what we're going to do here. I'm going to start with a disclaimer, per usual, just saying that I am a singular individual. This is merely my perception over the years that I've been in soccer. I am one individual with one opinion, and this is also not the ranking of the best buy. I won't be talking a ton about pricing, as we're just going to be comparing different items here, but I'm not telling you buy this, buy that, because just because something is a little bit higher in my tier doesn't mean that you have to go buy it, or doesn't mean you have to think the same way. I just want to state that very clearly going forward. But I will give you my logic, my reasoning, and would love to hear yours down below as well as we get going here. So this is what the tier ranking is going to look like. We have 5 individual stickers, pogs, cards, whatever, over here on the right-hand side, a mix of all of them. And we'll talk through them before we get to ranking them. And we'll start with the latest and work up to the earliest of these items as we go. So we start in 1979 with Diego's Panini Calcia. This has a total pop of 413. In terms of the pros, first Panini sticker and pretty good eye appeal. Now, eye appeal is obviously debatable, but for me, I think that the eye appeal of this is, quite staggering, especially compared to some of the other stuff he has, and I would imagine a lot of people agree on that. In terms of cons, highest pop and also third-year release. So, how could it be a rookie? It's a third-year release. I mean, the Mantle 52 Tops is a second-year release, but it's the most iconic card, and it's what people think of when they think of rookie. You can debate the idea of rookie, this, that, and the other. Really, what a rookie is just a notable early card, right? All of these are notable early cards for Maradona for different reasons, and we'll talk about that today. I also will say, I don't want to talk about pricing, but the pricing on all of these are fairly respectable in comparison to each other, right? If one totally dwarfed the rest, then I could understand why you might think that it's in a totally another tier. So that's the 1979 issue. We'll now talk about 3 different ones from 1978. The first being this 78 crack caricature. That's what the C stands for there. And the total pop here is 112. In terms of pros, it's the first Argentina kit for him from 1978. It is also a Lost World Cup release, sort of like a Lost World Cup sticker for Maradona, essentially. He was not present at the 1978 World Cup because he was not selected, but he was in the mix of players to be selected, and the manufacturer of this must have thought that he was going to be selected. They had him in the set. He did not make it. Argentina hosts that World Cup. They win that World Cup. Maradona's not there, but there are these stickers still nonetheless, and I think it's a pretty cool story. The eye appeal as well, that can be debated again. Eye appeal is, tricky, but to me, I love the colors, I love the caricature, I love the pacifier, the ball. It looks beautiful to me, but I get it. That's a debatable thing. On cons, I have caricature because I could understand why some people might just totally hate it for that reason. And I also have that he has multiple second-year items. Even a step further, he has another item in this set. So it is not a standalone Maradona. There's another one in the set, and we'll talk about that one now. This is the 1978 crack headshot. That's what the HS stands for there that I just added. The total pop on this one's 204, quite a bit higher than the 112 over here. As far as the rationale, I'd imagine more people are inclined to grade this one, as this is actually, Maradona's headshot. It probably resonates a bit more with people than a caricature, but I don't know if the doubling of pop has any sort of indicator towards the actual print runs. I would assume less so, more than more. Anywho, in terms of pros, first Argentina kit again. Now I will add, I guess we'll get there in the cons. Lost World Cup release as well. Again, eye appeal. I think this one's a little less debated. I think this one looks great. Higher pop on this one, 204, and vintage soccer is considered high pop. That's just the world of vintage soccer. I still think it's a great sticker nonetheless. It is photoshopped, so, what I mean by that is we'll talk about his 77, his only 77 release here in a second. They took the image from that 77 release and put it on the sticker and then cropped an Argentina kit over him. So he is not actually wearing it there. That was a mock-up of it. But that's also, again, kind of cool, I guess, maybe from another perspective in the Lost World Cup release sort of sense. Nonetheless, we finished this one out again with multiple second-year items. You have to take that into account. Second to last, we have the Estampos here from 1978. This is a league release, so this is him in his club kit. This in particular comes in a total pop of 98. For the pros, you have the typical sort of style in regards to a nice full image. You got the standard sort of picture day background where you can tell people are just in a line coming out here. Generally a typical design, fairly large compared to some of the other stickers in the Pog we'll talk about here in a second. It also is an Argentina release. All of these except for the Calciatori are, and to me, I do have a bit more of an affinity from like a rookie from Argentina having his Argentinian stuff rather than a third-year Italian sticker. That's my perspective. Again, that might vary person to person, but here you also have low pop. 98 is fairly low considering the rookie that we'll see here in a second is about the same, and this is a lot lower than the 400 some odd that we saw for the Calciatori. For cons, it is second year club kit, so the Argentina first time ever kit thing doesn't apply here. This is his second year with the same club. And he also has multiple second-year items, as we just talked about. And then finally, that leads us to 1977, the truest of trues in terms of year release. And this is the 77 Crack Maradona, total pop 95. Just a little lower than the Estampos at 98. I would assume that the 77 is a bit more hunted, a bit more submitted, so this is probably a truer number than any of the other ones in this entire video. In regards to Pro, the first pretty big one is I would say that this is quote-unquote the true rookie, 1977. It also is an Argentinian release, and it also is a very low pop as well. The cons, again, this is debatable. We have Pog design and general eye appeal. I would say a lot of American collectors especially, maybe even Europeans to some extent that just enjoy stickers, this isn't normal for us, and it isn't necessarily sort of a shocker from the sense of eye appeal. Like I think a lot of people would say this looks a little wonky. If you like vintage South America stuff, I mean, Pogs are as common as it comes back in the day, so this also could be seen, I guess, from a vintage perspective as like kind of a cool, he only has a few Pogs at the beginning of his career, and that's sort of the lineage of collecting in Argentina. I could see how like you could work the Pog and the general eye appeal in your favor, but I think a lot of people look down upon this for that reason. I think that's why this doesn't necessarily seem head and shoulders above everything else. I think if this was if this 77 release looked like this right here, I think it'd be his only rookie. No one would ever debate it. But because of what this looks like, I think it's a little more debatable. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's debate it right now. For me, I'm actually not going to debate it. I'm going to make this very boring. And I'm just going to say, we'll start with the easy one. I think that's S tier. I think that it just has to be. I could see how you could take it a little lower. And, personally, I totally understand it. If I could only own one Maradona, would I want to own this one? Maybe not, because eye appeal does matter a good bit to me, but I just respect the history, the lineage of this so much that I think it deserves to be an S tier pretty clearly. I'm probably not going to use D tier because I don't feel like any of these are deserving. In regard to the next up, I'm going to put these two sort of head-to-head here, the 78 Crack Headshot and the 78 Estampos. I wanted to talk about these two next to each other. This one's a bit more tricky than I thought it would be initially. I really like the rarity on the Estampos. I think that this is also a pretty decent looking copy of it. They oftentimes can be pretty bad and look pretty poor. I'd say your eye appeal on the 78 Crack is almost always going to be a good bit better, but you don't quite have the rarity. I love the Lost World Cup release, and I think to me that probably is what takes this a little bit higher than this one. I love the World Cup nature of it. I love the Argentina kit. I just think it's such a classic looking sticker, man. Like when I think of vintage soccer stickers, this is definitely one that immediately comes to mind. I mean, 70s stickers in particular, if you were asking about that, I think that it would probably be like Pele's 1970 and then this, maybe the Panini Calciatori as well. But I mean, man, personally, I'm going to go A tier for both of them, but I'm going to put them at different sides of A tier just to exemplify that I think one is clearly a little bit above the other one, at least in my rankings. So I have the 78 Crack here, and I'm going to go with the Estampos over on the right-hand side. And then that leaves these two to battle it out. So I'm going to put one in B tier, one in C tier. I haven't quite figured out yet which one, so let's talk through it. The 78 crack, you can't argue the rarity of it, at least as far as we can tell. I mean, this is pop 100 at the time. The Panini Calciatore is a pop 400. So the rarity of the 78 crack definitely lends a little bit in its favor. Eye appeal, now that's something that you might just be screaming at me and saying that the Calciatore is clearly above it. I think it probably is. I'd probably put the Maradona Calciatore a little bit above the crack, but I like the crack. Like, if I had to rate them on a numerical scale, I'd probably give the Maradona Calciatore like a 8 or a 9, and I'd give the crack a 6 or 7. So I think they're fairly close. To give the Calciatore a little bit of credit here, I mean, this imagery of him in the Argentina kit is actually true to form. I mean, this is what it looks like, right? That would be a lot more memorable or a lot more relatable than maybe this photoshopped kit or this caricature kit, you know? I do really like the jersey on the 79 Calciatore. I think that that's a huge plus. It sounds crazy, but I mean, to me, I think that matters a lot. And obviously, first Panini nature, too. I mean, just being a Panini sticker, I think, just takes you to a different category to some degree. Obviously, there's tons of people going after Panini stuff. It's tricky, man. For me personally, I would go the 78 crack above it. I would put the crack in B tier and then go Calciatore in C. And maybe that's not fair. Maybe they're both B. This one's just over here. This one's over here. You know, I'm just trying to use the tiers because they're supposed to be used. Realistically, I think the great part about soccer is, I mean, soccer's fairly cheap. You could just buy them all. Like, you don't really have to decide. You can just own them all. And then you don't have to, you know, mentally battle with yourself which one's better. But yeah, I mean, I sort of feel pretty good about these rankings. You know, I would say generally speaking, if I had to say what the hobby says with its wallets, with a lot of different voices, the Calciatore is probably above the crack, I would say for sure, and actually might even be, you know, in a realm with these two up here, especially in higher grades. I mean, the high grades of these do amazing numbers. I think that, you know, the Calciatore in particular, like many cards, are just helped by being in high grade. You know, when the average Calciatore is a 6 and the average, you know, cracks a 2, like the 6 is just more appealing to a lot of people because it looks better, it sounds better, all that stuff. So I think a lot of people would rank this higher. For me personally, I'm going to go a little lower. I'm also just not like a huge Panini sticker gatherer. If the Panini sticker meant a lot more to me, I'd probably go after it a bit more and rate it a bit higher. But yeah, this is my ranking, and I feel pretty good about it. So that's going to be it for the video today. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, where you would rank these Maradonas, 1 through 5, whatever tier it is. Go ahead and yell at me if I got something wrong, if I said something out of line. Would love to see it. In addition, if you want to see more videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.